right. Good morning. You are tuned into 1100 WSGI. This is Lee Marie with The Go Show, your source for information, inspiration, and always a few dates to add to your calendar. I'm so glad that you all have joined us today. It's going to be a special day. We got a special guest in from out of town. Well, not too out of town. Out of town for us. All right. We have John Danner here from is it Flourish Middle School?
Flourish Middle School.
Okay, all right. But before we get started, let's go to the Lord in prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for today. Thank you for taking the show exactly where you want it to go. Thank you for your angels of protection all around us. May everything we do and say glorify you. We love you in the mighty and matchless name of Jesus. Amen. All right. So you are from Flourish Middle School in Nashville. And I understand there is an important meeting going on real soon, right?
Yeah, we're going to be at Purpose Life Church tonight at 6:30.
Okay, all right. And so what exactly is that going to be?
So Flourish, our middle schools in Nashville right now. We just started our first school this year in Madison, and we're going to start another one in Nashville next year. But Raymond Francis and his group from Springfield reached out and said, we don't have a lot of options here in Springfield. We'd really like to have a middle school, and we really never thought about doing schools out of town, but it makes a lot of sense. And so we're here tonight to see what parents think and if people are interested in it.
Ah, okay. So you haven't done it out of town before. How long have you been doing it?
So this is the first year of Flourish, but my co-founder and I started Rocket Ship Public Schools before, which are about 25 schools in 5 states. There are 3 in Nashville, so we have experience doing this.
Now, say that again, 25 schools?
25 schools in 5 states.
5 states.
Yeah.
And those are public schools?
They're charter schools.
Charter schools.
Yeah.
Okay. But Flourish itself is
a micro school. So
microschool.
The law that got passed last year, the Freedom Scholarships that parents can apply for, allow us to start private schools and then have the state provide scholarships to parents so that the state's paying for their private school.
Oh, okay. So this is a private school.
It's private.
Okay. Yeah. And this was because of that legislation. Wow. Well, you guys acted pretty quickly.
Yeah, we did.
I was curious. I know that, that application process had happened.
Yeah.
And do you know how long, did all of that money get just eaten up right away?
It did. 40,000 people applied the first day.
Really?
So there's a lot of demand for it. I talked to Mr. Francis about this a little bit. About half of the people that applied from Springfield and the surrounding area did get scholarships last year.
Oh, okay.
So
all right. So
quite possible to get them, but you've got to be on it. January 13th is the day this year that you have to apply. So that's why we're here now.
Oh, wow. This January 13th is when you apply for the school starting.
Yeah, it's the state's deadline for the scholarship program. Okay. So that's when they'll start to make decisions about who gets the scholarships.
Okay, and then what, semester or whatever is that for? When does that one start?
That's for fall of 26.
Okay, fall of 26. So January 19th is the deadline, y'all, for to apply for fall 26 money for the scholarships. Okay, and about half of the people from Springfield area did receive, and do they receive the whole amount, or do they see partial?
Yeah, it's really an all or nothing. So if you receive it, you get about a $7,000 voucher.
Oh.
And the idea with Flourish is that even though it's a private school, it's not like private schools in the past where you might pay, $7,000 or $10,000 with a state scholarship. You might only pay a few $100s a year. So much, much more affordable.
Wow. Okay. And so your schools, that you may bring, is it just one middle school that you're looking to bring to?
Yeah, at the beginning. So we can start a school with as few as 25 students. And then we'd grow the first school up to 100 students. If there's demand, we could do more.
Okay.
I
think there's demand. I know that, we don't really have one in Springfield, and I know that Coopertown is really full, and I've been...
Yeah. I grew up in a town very much like Springfield in California, and we had one private school, and we had the district school, and I went to the private school. My brother went to the district school, and I would just say that the difference was that I got a lot of attention when I was in class. It was a small school, and everybody paid attention, and he didn't get as much attention. And that's, as a parent, you've got to know your child, and is a larger environment right for him, or is a smaller environment better.
Gotcha. Yeah, and also, I mean, there's so many other things too, I think, that go along. I went 9 years, first through ninth to private.
Yep.
And it wasn't any smaller. I mean, our classes had like almost 40
They're
people
big.
in them. But it was Catholic school,
Yeah,
so it was
right.
a lot of discipline. So, everybody.
Strict.
Yeah. But I needed that structure,
Totally.
and I loved it.
Yeah.
And I went to public 10, 11, and 12th, and it was like a different world.
Yeah, it's different. I mean, and some kids thrive in different
Right.
situations. The main thing is just to have a choice
Right.
as a parent, and I know in smaller communities there hasn't been as much choice. So we're hopeful that we can help Springfield with a little bit more choice for parents.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing, choice, because not every situation is good. I mean, we all learn so differently.
Totally.
We all need different things. So it's great to be able to actually have that option.
Yeah.
So what would that look like exactly? So tonight at 6:30,
Purpose Life
Purpose
Church.
Life at 805 Memorial Boulevard
Yep.
in Springfield, they are having a free pizza party information session. Yeah, so if you just want to come for pizza, there you go.
Yeah,
You can
and
tell your friends.
one thing I would say is if you are a parent with middle schoolers and this could be appealing,
Mhm.
we'd really like to hear from you tonight.
Mm.
We're really trying to figure out, is this something that people really want or not? It's a kind of an experiment a little bit outside of the bounds for us, but we would be excited if people are excited. So we would love to hear from people tonight.
Okay, guys. So spread the word, especially if there are some parents out there, families that have children in that 5th through 8th
Yep.
age range, because they want to, don't be complaining about things unless you're going to these and giving input.
Yep.
So if you want to see one of these private schools come to Springfield fall of 2026, come to tonight's meeting, give feedback, and tell your
Thank you.
friends too.
Exactly.
Okay, so what do these, so you have 3 of these in Nashville area?
We just started our first. We're about to open 2 more in
okay.
Nashville.
Okay, so you've had 1 so far.
Yeah.
Can you talk about how that's been going?
Yeah, it's been going great. The theory that we have really is that the world is changing pretty quickly right now. So what our kids need in an education is probably different than what we all got. Certainly standards are still an important thing, and we make sure that students get that. But we also focus on 2 things that we think are really important. Skills, so kind of your curiosity and agency and perseverance and things like that, as well as passion. So what are you really interested in doing, especially in middle school? Kids are no longer babies. They're starting to think about who they are and what they want to do in life. And so having an exploration of maybe you're interested in garbage. My brother was interested in garbage, and that's a perfectly fine thing to be interested in. And we want them to be able to go deep into that area. We're project-based so that students are building things and working on projects. We have a boba tea project that they're doing in school right now.
What is that?
They make boba tea, and they figure out
boba tea.
Boba tea. So there's a way you make these little spherical balls. So it's science, but it's science, that's a lot more interesting, because I think the other thing about middle school is a lot of students by middle school are a little bit over the whole desks and rows, let's have somebody lecture at us, but they love building things, and so it's fun and engaging, and we try to make that really relevant to them, but at the same time, covering the standards and making sure they get these skills that they need.
Okay, excellent. So that is exciting. Now, have you already kind of scoped out where this school would be in Springfield?
We don't know yet. We're really
That's too early.
This is the first meeting to figure out, is this something that we can pull off?
Okay.
Is this something the town really wants?
Okay.
And then we'll start looking at locations.
Okay, and so these other schools, these rocket schools that you did,
Rocket Ship, yeah.
Rocket Ship, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Okay. What are those like?
So Rocket Ship was kind of the last era of schools, which was very standards based. Kind of college for all was the idea, and Rocket Ship was very good at that. We had some of the highest performing schools in all the states that we were in. But I would say Flourish is almost the opposite of that. It's really more about each individual child and what they want to be when they grow up and figure things out, and less about, are you the best high school chemist or whatever. There are people who should be chemists and they should study chemistry, but I think for a lot of people, just finding the thing they're most excited about is more important than knowing the most things.
I like that. I like
Yeah.
that. Very nice. Okay, so what else do you want to tell everybody out there? Because I know that some of this is just so new to people.
Yeah.
And so what are some of the, statistics and
I would say the main thing is that a micro school, which is what we start, which is 100 students or less, is just smaller and more focused on every student. So I would say for many of our parents, they know when their child is not doing well in the public schools, and they're trying to find a place where they can be seen and heard and kind of be part of the school more. We really focus on ownership, so kids start clubs and groups, and it's an opportunity for students who might have been overlooked in a public school to establish some leadership and figure out what they're doing. So it's just, it's a little bit back to the one-room schoolhouse kind of idea where, you've got this community of students, everybody is together, and it's not a big institutional school where people can get lost.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask about what it looks like, because if there's only 25 kids, they would all be in one. Now, if 100 kids, is that the top that you?
Yeah, 100 is the biggest, and we'd have 4 teachers. We often do a one big room with movable walls so that we can kind of regroup what students are doing at any given time, because we're project based. There are a lot of ways to organize depending on what the students are doing that day.
Okay, so there might be one where, you have 50, and then one where you have 100, and then some classes be 25.
Yeah, and we're also mixed age. So we don't say, oh, well, there's a 6th grade, and there's a 7th grade, and there's an 8th grade. There are students grouped and regrouped depending on what they're working on together.
Oh, interesting. Wow.
Yeah, so I think it's really appropriate for students that are curious and interested in the world, but not necessarily, in kind of the structure that they've gotten so far in elementary school. They're kind of, both the most excited, curious students, as well as kids who kind of haven't really connected with school yet and are looking for something to get them excited. I think that's what we're really for.
Okay. Very cool. And then, so where is the one school that you right now have in Nashville?
It's in Madison, Tennessee.
Madison, okay. And then where are the other two, and what is the time frame on those?
Yeah, so those will open next year in fall of 26, August of 26, and we'll have one in South Nashville, and then we're working on one in Inglewood, which is just kind of a little bit north of East Nashville.
And did you go into that same type of process where you just had like a neighborhood meeting to see who was interested?
Yeah, we always start with the parents and the students and try to make sure that the alternative that we're offering is something that people are excited about.
Okay. So how many people are going to be in those? Do you know yet? Or is there still time for those kids to join?
Often we try to start our schools with 25 to just get going and figure out the community. But I think both those schools actually will probably start a little bit larger. We've had a lot of demand, so probably 50 students in each.
Okay. All right. 50 in each. Very good. And so the other school that you already have going, the Flourish School in Madison, is that something that people can stop in to take a tour of?
Totally. Yes, completely. We're very excited to have people take tours. I know that several parents from the community have reached out to parents at our school, which was fantastic, and just find out how their kids are liking it. And we're open to setting that up and helping people figure out what we're all about.
Okay, and how would they get a hold of you to do that, or hold of the school?
So the best is just to email me.
Okay.
And I'm john@danners.org, and we can leave that information for people.
John@Danners, DANNERS.
.org.
.org. Okay, guys, so hear that. If you want to have more information, or if you want to take a tour of the current Flourish Middle School that is in Madison, you can email John@Danners, DANNERS.org.
That's it.
Very good. Okay, and so that is in Madison, Tennessee, which isn't too far from here. What are the stipulations for like where people live and who's allowed to go to what school? Or we
do not have a lot of stipulations at all. We're trying to serve everyone. The only real requirement is that somebody is able to obtain a scholarship from the state.
Okay.
The state has two programs. One is an ESA program that predated the current scholarship program, but does not apply to areas like Springfield, unfortunately. We're trying to change the law to make that easier so that parents can get that scholarship as well. But right now, it's just the main scholarship program that people need to apply for. That's really the only constraint.
Okay. So what if they just want to pay straight out?
They can.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're not
Totally
no,
open to that.
Okay.
No.
So either one.
Either one is fine.
They can pay.
Yeah.
I would imagine that there would be a lot of competition to get into some. I mean,
sometimes, yeah, there is, and
it's like it's a first come first serve.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, we'll do an admissions process, but we want to be mixed income. I mean, it's very important to us to serve kind of all children, so we'd like kind of a diverse set of kids, and once we get to that point, we'll run an admissions process and decide kind of what makes the best first class of students.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're speaking with John Danner. He's from Flourish Middle Schools, and he is going to be. Are you going to be on site tonight at that meeting?
Yes.
Oh, excellent.
Both my co-founder Adam and I will be on site tonight at Purpose Life Church at
Very
6:30.
good. So, if you know anybody that is interested in a middle school alternative for this area, they are looking to put one up in Springfield, fall of 2026. And so you can come out for free pizza tonight, hear about it at Purpose Life. It's 805 Memorial Boulevard in Springfield. And wow, that's pretty exciting.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. We're excited about it.
All right, I have to tell you guys about something else real quick that you should be excited about. Coldstream Christian Camp is having their Christmas event this Sunday, and they are located at 4730 Goodman Road in Adams. Of course, you guys all love Coldstream Camp because a lot of your churches and a lot of you send your kids there. They have a wonderful program over there, acres and acres of just beautiful land and a lake. But they are opening up their place this Sunday from 5:30 to 7:30 for their Christmas party. It is a free event, but you do need to reserve, so they have to make sure that, there's enough room and everything. So you can go on their Facebook page or their website. Their website is coldstreamchristiancamp.org. And if you want to call for a tour or to make a reservation or to see if the date is available that you want to have your next event, their phone number is 615-696-2208. Again, that's 615-696-2208. They are also raising money for scholarships for their camps. And so they have a silent auction right now. And you can actually go onto their Facebook page and you can bid on stuff right now. I just got outbid. But anyways, I do have some of my dance lessons up there. So that's a nice Christmas gift, guys. Line dance classes or swing dance classes. So, but there's a lot of good silent auction items. So go check out Coldstream Christian Camp. And when you're there, make sure you tell them that Lee Marie sent you. Also, guys, Southside Drugstore right down the street on 1000 South Main Street. I don't know if you've gone by there lately, but it is so fabulous. Their windows, if there's a contest in downtown Springfield, they would definitely win for best decorated windows. And I love that it's all retro. They have these big pink ornaments it's just fabulous. But anyway, Southside's not just your neighborhood pharmacy, although they are an amazing pharmacy and amazing group of family that run that. But they also have a bunch of gifts, guys. And Linda, our production assistant, she's got some gifts over there. And she told me that they're selling out of stuff. So get over there because a lot of unique gifts for this time of year. They're open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturdays, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. And their website is southsidedrugco.com. I heard that they still do deliveries if you're here in Springfield, which is a great thing, especially when you're sick and that's the last thing you want to do is get dressed and go out. So contact Southside. Make sure you tell them that Lee Marie sent you. All right, we got some more time here to talk about alternatives, and I just love that. Like you said, not all kids, flourish in a particular type of situation. So
That's right.
to have this opportunity, I think is wonderful. So I hope. I don't have any children. That's my child right there.
He's a very cute dog.
Yes. He knows we're talking about him. His eyes are all open now. But anyways, if I did, I just hope that a lot of parents will realize know about this meeting.
Yeah, I hope so too. I think, one challenge parents have is they're always really, really busy.
Exactly.
But, I would just say that when you have a middle school child,
Mhm.
that's a special time in a kid's life, and
Mm.
kind of not wasting that, not putting them on the wrong track is really
Mhm.
important. So, I think it's worth at least a conversation about what we're doing, and see if the parents are interested.
Right, right. No, and that's true. I mean, what a crucial time,
It's a
know.
really important time in a kid's life, because
Yeah.
they can go, they can decide school is just not for them anymore, or they can decide that there's something exciting
Right.
and worth working for, and that
Mhm.
can really change their lives.
And I love that it's project based because that makes it so much more interesting. Like,
Yeah.
none of us really like to sit at a desk and
No.
just read and write all the time. But doing projects, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. I think, you also learn a lot more doing projects. When somebody's lecturing at you and you're kind of like reciting whatever they're telling you,
Hmm.
you can memorize things, but often they don't stick with you. Whereas when you do a project and you use whatever that thing is that you're
Hmm.
supposed to learn
Hmm.
in the project, you're just much more likely to remember it
Hmm.
going forward.
I had to I had to laugh because I was thinking about last night. I teach line dancing, and I teach one night a week. That's Tuesday nights at 5:30, and I have a family of actually of homeschoolers, and there's a bunch of daughters. And like last night when I was talking, and I'm like, okay, half turn, quarter turn. I'm like, hey, you know what? We're doing math in here too. So I'm like, I should probably integrate more of that.
Well, you gotta think about it when you design projects. What are the
Uh-huh.
things that people are actually learning?
Right.
And a lot of times, after somebody does a project, we'll talk about kind of what they learned and what they did, and try to solidify that knowledge. But just having a project where you're really engaged and you're into it,
Mm-hmm.
it helps a lot in motivation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very cool. Awesome. All right. Let me do one more sponsor break here because I can't believe it's already 8:30. I don't know where the time has gone. But guys, make sure you are taking care of that mower because it's pretty much time to put it into hibernation. You don't want to just stick it in the shed. There's some things you can do to prolong its life. So you can go over and talk to Gary over at Ridgetop Mower of Springfield. He will help you out. And guess what? If you tell him Lee Marie sent you, you get 10% off parts and labor. His phone number is 615-855-0044. That's 615-855-0044. You can't miss him. He is sandwiched kind of in between Baldwin and Ace Hardware, right there on Matthew Street, 1101. And also, he still has some of the cool WSGI good old gospel stickers. You know what? I'm going to give one to Mr. Danner,
Oh,
too.
thank you.
There's your souvenir.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we recently changed our format to good old gospel. So sometimes you'll hear Johnny Cash and Elvis, and
Nice. Love it.
so we love the retro stuff. But also there's other stuff sprinkled in there too. But lots of bluegrass and just Southern gospel and stuff like that. So and guys, don't forget, not only do we are you watching on Facebook or YouTube, but 1100 on your radio dial, that should just be programmed in because there's so many great things that come on that station. I absolutely love it. I really do. But then also there's a phone app now, guys. So WSGI has a phone app, and that's really great when you're driving along and you hear somebody and you're like, "Who is this?" You look it up and you can see. So, or pull over first. But John, I wanted to ask you, what got you into this? What was your background and what inspired you to even start schools?
Yeah. Well, I certainly did not start thinking that I was going to be an educator. My first company was an internet company
Ah,
back in the day, which we took public, and it did well. And I was kind of, after I sold that company, I was trying to figure out what to do next in life. And I had a friend, I had gone to a Jesuit high school, and he was a Jesuit, and he was starting a middle school. And he said, well, why don't you come help me and, fix up the school building and hire the principal and do all that work. So I became kind of his chief operating officer at the school, and it was amazing. Really the community really appreciated that school, and I think it helped a lot of kids. So I went and became a teacher.
ah,
I taught fifth grade and then second grade for a couple years in Nashville,
ah.
and then out of that started Rocketship Public Schools, the previous school network, just to try to figure out what would be a better way of working with kids than what I had seen in the district schools I was teaching
Oh,
in.
okay. Awesome. So you have been a teacher,
Yeah.
that's really good to know. I'm sure that's something that, parents feel good about. And so you did fifth grade, and then is
Yeah.
that when you realized, like, yeah, middle school is really,
Yeah. I think, as a teacher, when I was teaching fifth grade, I realized how difficult middle school was. Like that was the shocking thing was, wow, this is a difficult age and you really have to be focused on it. Adam, my co-founder, was he and I met at Vanderbilt when we were getting our master's in education. And I helped to start KIPP Nashville, which was a school in Nashville, and he became our first teacher.
Oh.
And that's a middle school, 5th through 8th grade. And during that process, kind of realized that, Adam is gifted with middle school students. And so even though he joined me at Rocket Chip, which was elementary, I always had in the back of my mind, boy, he's really great at middle school. So we need to do some middle schools together at some point. That's the idea behind Flourish.
Okay, all right. So I know that you said that oftentimes it's all the kids in one room. Do you have different teachers teaching the different subjects, or is it just mostly one?
We try not to specialize. A lot of the idea behind project-based, it's a little bit like if anybody's been to a Montessori school for kind of preschool where kids are doing projects and things like that. You're really trying to just support the students as they figure out what they want to do. What our teacher, Dana Jackson, who actually lives in Springfield and would probably be the teacher at this school if we started, what she always says is that in her previous 18 years of teaching, she would tell the kids what to do. And at Flourish, she asks the kids what they want to do, and then she supports them as they figure that out. So it's a very different model.
Okay, very interesting. Well, I was hoping that Stephen could come in because my husband, actually his grandma was a teacher for a long time. And she was a big proponent for project-based.
Yeah.
And so I was hoping that he could come in and give some of that, talk with you about that because he's got much more experience than I do,
Oh, I'd love to.
I spent, come on in, Stephen. Oh, what do you mean no?
Don't want to talk project-based right now.
On. No. Tell him, Linda, drag him in. There you go. Okay. I was just talking about your grandma because were you listening to the show? Were you able to hear it?
I've been listening the whole time.
Okay, great. This is Stephen, my husband. This is John Danner.
John, great to meet
Good
you.
to meet you again. Yes.
Yeah.
And I wanted you to come in, Stephen, because you have so much more experience with the whole project-based stuff with your grandma because his grandma used to bring him in when he was little into those. And so
I was a kindergarten student with my grandmother. She taught kindergarten, and her kindergarten was set up as a project learning center.
Oh, that's awesome.
Of course, because little kids like to, especially little boys, they like to pound on stuff, right? It's like everything becomes a hammer for them. And I was one of those kids that like to run and jump on stuff. So she had her brother, my grand uncle, or my great uncle, I should say, was a really good at, he had like a workshop and he would build stuff, handy guy, right? So he built these little stations, little play areas, but they were all set up for the city. Now back in the 30s and 40s, they were really into creating citizens, right? And so they were creating their model citizens. That's the way school was back then.
Right.
And so my grandmother thought that she was creating model citizens on this sort of Deweyan ideology that they all lived under at the time, So she had these little stations, and one was set up like a little city area, and they had streets and they had a policeman's hat.
Oh my God.
And so they had a little uniform, and so somebody could be the traffic cop, and they would learn. They had little cars, this cardboard. And they would get in these little cars, and they would line up on the streets, and they'd turn a whole classroom into a city.
Nice.
And the children would play, and they would all be different things. And there was a shopkeeper, then there was a builder, there was a banker, of course, so they had the money and everything. So the children loved that. That's how they learned about their city. Yep. And so she would do a whole program like that. And then she would take them out on field trips. And this is where I would get to go a lot of the time on the field trips, where we would go to the fire department because fire department would go to the police station. Totally. And we would go to all these different places, the bank, the church, what have you. Every single thing in there. And literally, this is, if you think about it, that's the way they thought, the way they taught. And it was a hands-on thing. Totally. And so, I
bet it was super engaging, too.
Oh, yeah. Because for me, I like two things. I like throwing rocks and I like dinosaurs when I was little, right? I like throwing rocks at stuff and I like dinosaurs. So we had a whole dinosaur thing, of course, but that's the thing. When I was little, I was very active, and get me to sit at a desk, forget it. I'd be standing on the desk or crawling under it or turning it upside down or something.
I taught second grade for 2 years. You don't have to tell me about
you know
little boys
exactly.
in second grade.
Exactly, yeah, it's the way it worked. Yeah, we were very, very active children. But see, that's it. Now, my grandmother, I used to sit with her in the mornings, and she would read the paper and she would cry, and she'd be like, "They changed the school. It's not the same anymore, right?" Because she was long retired by then, but she was very, very, she mourned the old style of teaching. Yeah. She mourned it. It went away. And I said, Grandma, they still do that kind of thing, but they only do it in Montessori schools.
Yeah. No, that's totally true. I think one of the things that happened with schools is that we just got more and more serious about standards, and it just kind of pushed everything else out. It's like, if you're not doing the thing that's supposed to be done that day, then there's no point.
Yeah. She'd always say they're trying to force children to read at the age of 3 years old. She said the eyes aren't even developed until 6.
Right.
There's no way they can learn to read before they're 7 or 8. And I said, Grandma, yeah, I know. You know better than that, and you know that this is wrong. But these administrators who are in charge of this thing, trying to get the parents to sign up for it, they're trying to tell the parents, oh, your child will be reading at the age of 2. So supposedly that's better. But if a child's eyes are not developed enough, they don't have the ability to focus on the letters. They can't. And I was one of those children. Of course, I became a great reader eventually, and I read thousands of books, right? But the idea there is that the children have to be ready for the next thing, whatever it is.
Developmentally ready for whatever you're
which
doing.
led to the idea of holding children back. But see, then the old stigma of children not being ready, and the children that wasn't ready in a certain area was gifted in another area. Because I had children in my second grade class that I taught. I had children who could read really well, but they had no art skills. Like, they weren't very good at art. They were good at rigid things, right? And then they had the opposite. I had a child who could not read until the age of 9, but he could paint and he can draw. And I could immediately see the different personalities in these children. And I understood what my grandmother was talking about at the time, you see. So yeah, when we let children have hands-on, they tell us what their skills are.
Right.
They teach us what we need to be teaching them.
100%. I think one of the things about that is that, unfortunately, one of the things that's happened in the school system is, if you happen to be good at the things that the school system is focused on, you get a lot of positive praise and things are good. If you're great at art and there's no room for art anymore, then you don't get a lot of positive praise. You don't get any credit for that at all.
It's a shame that our children are at the mercy to the statistics and the agenda of the administration. And teaching becomes, or the welfare of each individual student. You talked about there, when teachers spend time with each student. And I know that's important. I've got, a niece, and they sent her to different schools when she was little. And she would sit, literally, I mean, you don't see this anymore, but in small classroom sizes, she would sit on the teacher's lap and become the little teacher. And she wanted to help all the other students who couldn't keep up with the class, right? And so she started her own tutoring program at the age of 8. And so she was already a little tutor.
Love it.
And of course, because she had that special attention at home and she had that special attention in the school, that she became, and she graduated from high school at the age of 16. She started college. They couldn't put her in a regular college because she was such a tiny little girl. She's like a little child. They couldn't put her in college, so they sent her to college away from college. So she did her college years in a small little classroom with some other gifted students, her first couple of years, until she turned 17, and then they let her go to the regular college. She was graduating by then, but she only spent 1 year actually in it. She went to a private college then, and she spent a couple of more years there getting an advanced degree, and she had an internship by the time she was 20, and she had a
awesome.
Tens of thousands. I mean, she had a huge contract, just under $100,000 for her first job.
Wow.
So, I mean, it was a big difference, okay? Within 5 years at the firm that she worked at, she was already over $120,000 a year plus bonuses. Awesome. Now, this is a gifted child, right? So by the age of 24, she's already making twice as much money as I ever made in my life in a year. Right. And I'm thinking to myself, wow. But no, that's not every student. But because she was able to find her fit early on. And we don't want to exclude students who haven't found their fit yet, right?
But I do think we want to help them find their fit.
We want to help them find their fit. That's right.
Yeah, that's really important to us. I think if you just think about your friends that have found their fit, it's often through pretty random reasons that they do. Maybe they just happen to like what their parents were doing, or they had a friend doing something or whatever. But, a more kind of intentional exploration of like, what are the things that you might be interested in? That's just something that got wiped out in schools.
Exactly, exactly. I mean, there's, I'm going to be an engineer because my daddy was an engineer. That's great. And if they're into it, that's great too, especially if their dad's involved with them. But if they're not, that's the thing. I mean, sometimes that doesn't exactly happen sometimes. But see, maybe they want to be something else. But finding their fit is really important. But for those parents who have children that do want to follow in a father's footsteps, especially if they have a firm or they have a company and a child's going to work in that company, I think that is so good. We've got family companies here, but especially like if it's going to be something that's utilitarian in a sense, they're builders, they build homes or whatever. The guys who are plumbers and their kid's going to take over the plumbing business. And a guy who's got lawn service business, he's making $1 million a year. His children are following in the footsteps. They're taking over the business for him. And that's great. So children can find their fit in that way. And if the school can help facilitate that with project-based learning, of course, that's the next thing out,
I think one of the things that has really changed now in the last 5 years, we certainly, I spend most of my time in Silicon Valley, and the whole wave of AI and the way it's going to change what jobs are, it's going to be really extreme for this generation of kids. Like in 30 years, we'll probably understand what to do about it. But, these jobs like running a family business or whatever, those are the ones that are going to last for sure. Whereas I go to college, I get an advanced degree, and then I walk out and I have 10 job offers. That's not true anymore. My daughter is 22. She got done with college. She was a pre-med and then decided she didn't want to be a doctor. And she just assumed when she graduated, all these companies would make her job offers. Nobody made her a job offer. She had to figure it out. She works as a paralegal at a law firm now, which is great. But, having more ability for students to figure out like what they're really passionate about so that when they're done with school, they go out and they find what to do. That's going to be way more important for this generation, I think.
It's funny. It reminds me when I was in college, they told me I had two options. I could go to law school or I could go to medical school when that was it. Right. Yeah. It's like, cause you're never going to be anything anyway. Right. I'm like, don't do that to me. Don't tell me I only have two options. I'll go mow lawns for a living or something, I don't care. So yeah, but you understand these kids go to medical school, they go to law school, they get out. And it's like, there's nobody offering them a job. Yeah. It's, I just spent $300,000 on my life here. I'm in debt up to my eyeballs. And I need to get a job, right? I need to get a good high-paying job. Yeah. And there are a lot of students that get out, and they're like, they expect a high-paying job. Yeah. It's like, well, you're the bottom man on the totem pole. You've got to get some clients before we start paying you. I mean, if you don't bring in business, we can't pay you anyway, right?
Somebody right out of college is not the most productive worker usually.
They have a lot of ideas.
Yeah, they do.
No one wants to hear.
Yeah, so... the world's changing, and I think as a parent, one of your jobs is just to figure out what can I do that helps my child be the most adaptable to a changing world. It's not going to be the straightforward, like go to high school, do well on tests, go to college, do well on tests, get 10 job offers and move on. Like that's not the world we live in anymore. So you've got to really help to prepare your kids, I think.
Well, there's so much. There's team building, there's leadership, and these are the kind of things that children do learn as they work together in a place. Somebody say children learn through play, and so whatever you're doing with them, they think it's a game.
Yeah,
and so make it like a game, and it fits them even better if you make learning like a game. Totally. I know you know that with little children.
We all like that.
Yeah,
I think we never outgrow that, right?
No.
We get more sophisticated games for adults, but it's still a game.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, like some of the meetings that I've led and stuff, if all of a sudden I say, okay, now we're going to have a contest, everybody's like, all right.
Okay.
They don't
what
care
are the
what
rules?
the prize is. The prize could be a one piece of candy, and they're like, I'm in it. We all like that. It's part of human nature.
Yeah, that's that.
But I love that you're right. It's not a cookie cutter system, no. and like even like me, like growing up, I wanted to be in entertainment. I wanted to, but I was always told you can't make money at that, So I went and I got 3 degrees, a couple master's degrees and other things. Did that stuff for a while, and then God was like, okay, here you go. And then I got to teach 10,000 people how to dance and do shows all over and have a great time. I didn't need those other degrees, but I'm thankful, of course, about the adventure along the way and all the people that I met. But
you found your passion.
Yeah.
And that is going to be so important because it really doesn't matter. I mean, everybody will tell you, oh, no, that's not a good thing to like. But you can just look around. You see the people who've found the thing that they really care about. They often do very, very well because they're willing to work more at it. They're more focused. Like, that's what you've got to.
You're right. And passion is way more important than skill or anything else.
Yep.
You know?
Totally.
I
Yeah.
mean, I had nieces that went to dance school from the time they were like 2, and they're like, and she's doing this, and she started dancing like when she was 30. Like, yeah.
Right.
So, and also you gotta pray,
Yeah.
and see what the Lord has for you, because he does. He has something specific.
Yep.
If you're breathing, he's got some specific plans for you.
Some ideas.
So you need to go to him first and be like, okay, Lord, just like when I got to Springfield, when I got to Tennessee, I said, Lord, I don't know what you want me to do here, teach dance or do this or that, but and he was like, radio. And I'm like, of course, because I have absolutely no experience, no training, but it's a God thing because I love it now. And I've met so many wonderful people, and I'm actually becoming closer to the Lord because of this radio job,
Totally.
And so first and foremost, pray to him, be like, Lord, whatever you want me to do. And he'll surprise you because his ways are not your ways. And we have to be reminded of that constantly, because we always just want to think in our little box, our little brain. But anyways, I do need to talk about, speaking of boxes and shipping, it's time right now to get your stuff off to UPS store. We have a fabulous group here in Springfield, and they're at 513 Memorial Boulevard. I know y'all know where they are because you drop off your Amazon stuff there, but they do so much more. They have somebody there, a graphics person that can help you right now. If you need some touch-ups on your Christmas cards, you can get those ordered. You can order business cards. You can order canvas, mural things for presents. They do blueprints. They have a notary. I think everybody there is notary, aren't they, Stephen? Are they all notaries?
Well, they have several.
They have several notaries there. Their phone number is 615-384-0093. Again, that's 615-384-0093. That is our friendly UPS store, #1 customer service in the county. All right, anything that I missed for UPS?
No, I think we have the banners made there, and whenever we have an organization that needs a banner,
Yes,
they always do a great job on that.
Beautiful, beautiful job with the banners. So before you go outside of the county or whatever, or order stuff online, first go to UPS store and ask them how they can help you. All right, I think those are all of our friends. Those are so great. So now we get 12 minutes to talk about whatever we want. So what are we missing?
Well, I think that the school itself, you could talk a little bit more about Flourish School, because when she showed me the flyer, I said, wow, this is really good, because this is something that I know a lot of people are going to be interested in. And I can think of, there's going to be at least 60 or 70 families right here locally in the middle of town that are going to want something like this. Now, how many children they have, they have 1 to 2 children per family or more that might want that. But I know there's going to be at least 60 or 70 families in our community that are going to want that. And so we could easily fill up a school if people heard about it and knew about it. So I don't know. I think we need to get the word out, one, and then if you're going to start with 25 students or what have you. How many grades would you start with at that point?
So our idea with mixed age is that we'll start with 25 students, grades 6 through 8. And we'll just build it out over time. We're really not too focused on the ages. An 11-year-old or a 13-year-old, they're close enough that we can help them work together. And that's one of the skills in life, is figuring out how to work with other kids, maybe not your exact age. But so we're pretty flexible on that.
That's very good. I really like that.
I have a question.
This is almost like the old schoolhouse version.
It is.
So we're going back to a traditional, sort of more of an original school, something that Benjamin Franklin would have been proud of, right?
Yeah, where the kids help each other. I mean, that's a lot less of the adults tell you what to do, and a lot more of the kids help each other.
Oh, I love that.
Wow, this is
Very
really
cool.
good. This is really exciting.
So I have a question. I know that you like to start with 25, but what happens if you really do have like 100 students that want to come?
Yeah, we'll expand, so that really the idea is that we can expand up to 100 students.
Okay.
We don't like to have schools bigger than that, because one of the points is to have a small school where all the teachers know all the kids. Like, those relationships are really important. But if there was demand, then we could think about doing a second school.
Okay. But for fall, it would be 25.
25 to 100, depending on
Oh,
how
it
many
could be.
families. Yeah,
Okay.
we can go all the way up to 100. We hire additional teachers.
Okay, and we do have a listener who is asking to talk about what the tuition system is like there.
So it's mainly the Freedom Scholarship Program. So those are about $7,000 a year, and we just charge a few $100s above that for kids to come to school. So if you remember the old Catholic or Episcopal schools that were like $1,000 a year, it's less than that because we think students and parents should be able to choose private schools, but a lot of people don't have the money to pay several $1,000s for a school, and we want any child to be able to attend.
I think this model allows you to save a lot of money. So, and I think because your model is set up in the old-fashioned, old schoolhouse style, which is what was just amazing and great. Because I think another thing about that is when you have younger students mixed in with slightly older students, the younger students can look up and achieve. They're reaching beyond. And you see that. So the little ones are really reaching forward with the slightly older ones with them. So, I mean, in the old-fashioned schoolhouse system, and that created great people like Wordsworth and those who went to the old school system. So if we look at the old-timey schools, they produced our greatest thinkers and our greatest writers in America through what they say, was the great intellectual period of America. Those guys all went to old-time schoolhouses that you're talking about here. And I think that is something that people should understand, that not only is it cheaper and more economic to do it that way, but it actually can advance these young thinkers in such a way that our public schools and the way the formula itself, the way they're teaching, does not facilitate that kind of student.
Totally true. And, one of the things about middle school is that for the first time in your life, often you're becoming a lot more social in middle school. So having kids together working in groups on projects, things like that, I think is so important. And I think that when you combine that with passions, then the younger kids are looking at what the older kids are doing, and they may have some influence as well. So that can be a really positive thing for a kid who doesn't really know what they want to do in life and sees, wow, that kid's really excited about that. Maybe I should look at that.
Wow. I am really excited about this. This is something I haven't been excited about anything lately when it comes to education. This is really exciting because we're moving into a different model here. So we've done something. What you've done with the Flourish School is you've changed the model of education back to an old style, a very, very old style of teaching, and an old style of teaching that was so effective and so well. And this is going to fit most of your students, I think, because your students that are overachievers or a little bit ahead are going to be working with the younger ones. Now, that was the thing with Emily, my niece, that really helped her reach even farther. And I remember my dad, Grandpa, she'd do her homework with Grandpa, my dad, and she'd be like, Grandpa, there's a student there. She won't do anything, and she doesn't know how to do this, and she doesn't know how to do that. And he says, that little girl doesn't have a family that has her do her homework with her, right? That little girl doesn't have it. He said, how about you help her learn to do the things she's supposed to be doing in class? How about you be her friend instead of criticizing her? She goes to school on a bus. You go to school in a $70,000, sports car. So there's a big difference between how the support she was getting and the support this other girl was getting. So she learned that by helping, now she was able to achieve more. And so when you see that, lining that up with these students and having them working together in a project-based system, they all have to work together. It's a team learning environment. I know how that works. It's beautiful. So here's so many yeses to this, so many yeses, and I see no downside here. The only downside is every student couldn't take it because you only have room for so many, and that's the only downside here, because this is something that if I had a child, I would want the child in this thing. The old-timey school system is proven to be the best, and it's something that's gone away, and you are bringing it back.
Yeah, we're trying, and I think that what you were talking about with kids is so true. Empathy is a really underestimated quality, especially in middle school. Understanding why does that child not have the same passion about reading or the same
Yeah.
curiosity or whatever, it's likely that their life was totally different. So understanding the other students is really important. And when you're doing project based and you're kind of all working together all the time, it's way more likely you're going to figure that out than when there's some kids sitting in a desk in the back row and they don't seem to be very engaged in school. You don't really get to know them at all.
Oh,
Very
that's
good points.
important.
All right.
Empathy. We should say something about that, right? Empathy is something we need so sorely in this day and age, and I think empathy is something that we've been missing. And you see the polarization of politics and the violence and not people not listening to each other, not feeling for the other guy. Empathy is the thing that's been missing, and that's the problem that we have in America today. And I think that, and I've heard criminologists say we are creating pathological people who have no empathy, and we need to figure out a way to teach children, or to at least facilitate, so that children can develop empathy. And it's so important. And I think that is missing, and that's a huge thing right there.
That is something we can do a whole show on. So,
Oh, absolutely.
but I do need to talk a few minutes about some events, because this is the Go Show. And thank you, Linda, for reminding me. We've got lots of stuff coming up, guys. But one of the well, actually, there's three. I'm going to go chronological. So tomorrow is Thursday. Of course, I'm doing line dance at 11 a.m. Get out there and just move to fun music and get your exercise. Friday, we're having our old-timey ball, gowns to the ground. This is going to be super fun. You can still get $10 tickets at Crossroads Christian Bookstore. That is the same place where you go to the ball this Friday night. The ball is going to be 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. And if you don't have a gown, that's okay. No worries. Still come. But I know Cope right down the street has got fabulous ones for like $5. Cope is a great place.
And I know at least one little princess that's making her dress in a sewing class.
Yes, and she looks fabulous.
She's amazing.
All right, so moving on though, Saturday, there's something called Mistletoe Market, guys, and this looks like a brand new thing. I don't think that they did it last year, but I'm not sure. It is going to be in the downtown Springfield area along Main Street, and what it is you pick up a bingo card, you go into the vendors that are listed, the merchants that are listed, and you get your card stamped. Now, you don't have to buy something there. Of course, it'd be nice if you did, but you don't have to. And then you turn your bingo card in, and then they draw, and there are, I think they said, over $600 in gift cards and things like that you can win. And then a lot of the vendors are also doing holiday specials. I know that Well in the Square, which is our place, we're going to be there from 9:30 to 1:30. So every vendor has different times that they are going to be there. But check it out, guys, because it sounds really fun. I mean, especially to go play bingo, right? You're just walking along the square. So if you go to Mistletoe Market as the on the event page for Facebook, it says free event in downtown Springfield. It's called Mistletoe Market. And so it's going to be going pretty much all day and all night. But like I said, check out what time your particular vendors are going to be there. I know I'm going to go around with my bingo card. Who can't use some gift cards right before Christmas time, right?
That's right.
Totally.
So anyways, I hope, and you guys, again, go to my Facebook page because I'm going to be posting a lot of other events as well. There's no reason to be staying home during this time. I mean, oh my gosh, Travis Price Park looks absolutely fabulous. That is a free drive-through Christmas light every night until I think the 29th, maybe. I'm not sure exactly, but there's so much going on in Springfield. And guys, if you're home alone, there's no reason. Remember what I tell you. Call up somebody and say, hey, there's this going on, but I don't want to go by myself. Can I pick you up? When you say those two, that combination, you will get yeses so much of the time. Okay, guys? So just say it. Just be the hero and invite people out during this time, because a lot of people, they remember people that they are missing right now. Maybe some people are going through the holidays for the first time without that loved one, without that pet. So please, guys, be that hero. Invite them out to festivals.
There are housing associations where if you buy a house in a neighborhood, you have to sign a piece of paper, legal document that says you will decorate for Christmas. And I know your brother lives in one of those, and we go down the street and I'm like, why? Every single house has beautiful lights on it. Why is that? She said, because they will get a $500 fine in the month of December if they don't comply with the...
We don't have that. We don't have that too much here. We're more down to earth here. But anyways, I want to tell them one more time about the meeting. So go ahead, John.
Yeah, so at Purpose Life Church tonight at 6:30, we'll be talking about Flourish and trying to figure out if Springfield is excited for us.
Awesome. All right. And
Are we going to be meeting in a sanctuary and be a good place for it? It's nice and warm in there. Yeah.
I think so. And again, Purpose Life is at 805 Memorial Boulevard in the Stuart Williams parking lot, so you can come early and shop for furniture and then go to the pizza meeting.
Yeah, Pop's got that. His hip is out, and I told him it's the chair he's been sitting in for 10 years that he's watching football in, right? And I'm like, Dad, your knee is not in the right position with this chair. You need a new one, right? And I think that's the problem. So he's going to all these specialists to find out what's wrong with his hip, and I'm like, all you need to do is see a furniture guy. He'll fix your hip.
Last thing I want to tell you guys, I want to tell you about Steven's stretching and agility class, because he's been helping a lot of people. And his grandmother he's been talking about, who was the teacher, she lived to be 103, and she was walking beautifully that whole time.
Yeah, like Jiminy Cricket, 103.
Yeah, because he had taught her, breathing techniques, walking techniques, stretching, and all that. And so he has a class now from 9 to 9:45 every Monday morning. It's now only $10. Bring a squishy mat, and he's going to show you how you can get the most out of your body, and also how you can even burn fat at night.
That's right. I've worked with children that are as young as 7 and as old as 103. So,
children of God.
That's right. A lot of the people I work with at the university, I worked with their children. A lot of them in the athletic department have their little kids in international sports. I mean, they would travel all over. And so I would go and I would work with their children actually in the gym during the events. I would work with them. And so learning to work with, I worked with, of course, all these young athletes first, and then I ended up working in a wellness facility and another high-end research facility that worked with people who had brain injuries and stuff. And so we really learned how to get that body moving again and get things working. And so out of all of that, of course, developed this idea here, because I had a whole bunch of ladies. The ladies at the Moms Association of Orange County came to me and said, hey, we're tired of working out with our husbands. We need to learn how to lose weight. And I'm like, okay. And we've developed a workout for women. And so for about 3 or 4 years, we did that, and we developed this workout in the Wellness Center, Women's Wellness. And I've converted that into something that anybody can do from their living room, their couch. You can do it in the bed, but you can do it watching TV, which is a lot of people. I want to do it. I want to be able to do this while I'm sitting on the couch watching TV. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Great. You can do it anywhere. So that's what that's about. So we have a lot of fun in those classes, but really, literally, it's about getting well together. There's so many things we want. We want physical health, and we want mental health, and we want spiritual health. Right? We want to be well all the way around, and that's kind of what we try to focus on. Here with the show, we talk a lot about that, but it's one of the things we focus on, and we're talking about children today and the Flourish School, and where it all begins in childhood. It's like that's where like I say, working in recording studio, they say all the EQ begins at the microphone. Well, the entire life, the EQ for life begins at the age of 3, right? And you go through there, and in your first few years of school is where you learn to develop that, and you kind of carry that stigma, whatever it's going to be. The stigma of being the smart kid or the stigma of being not the smart kid can follow you through life, and it's a shame that some children do go through life feeling bad about themselves because they weren't as good as somebody else, and they got the grade on the paper that confirmed they weren't good enough, right? And this is one of the limiter. Grading things, and we talked a lot about that in college. Of course, I got a degree in philosophy, and so we had to talk a lot about grading and education and stuff. And some teachers say, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to do grades, or do you just want to, pass or fail? And like, I say, I want the students to feel good when they get an A, but I don't want the ones that get D's to feel bad either. So I don't really know what I want to do with that. But anyway, grading can be one of those things. Another one of those assessment things, and I know people want to see grades because they want to see if their children are doing good, right? I know that's important, but we also want to see the smiles on the faces. We want to see the hearts growing. We want to see their hearts growing, and we want to see them care about the world and care about what they do. A child who has a good experience and they feel good and they have an outlook on life where they care about the world. What we see today is children not caring about anything. And if they don't care, they don't value, right? And they're not valuing their things. They're not valuing their city. You see graffiti. People are not valuing the city. You see a lack of values, and this is important. People who are willing to destroy things, people who are willing to protest, and protesting is great when you have a great message and you want to fight for the people. But when you're out there destroying the small businesses of the poor people who are trying to make it by burning their businesses down or breaking it shows they have a lack of values. So there are young people out there in hordes that don't have the values that's missing. And I think we're talking about empathy and developing that. It also goes along with developing those values that they care about the world
We'll
around
have to have a
them,
whole
right?
nother show on that because we are out of time. But I do want to thank both of you guys for coming on. And Mr. John Danner here, you can meet him tonight at Purpose Life Church at 6:30. Free pizza. Please spread the word because this would be such a great thing.
Oh, you had me at free
Springfield.
pizza. I think you did. But the Flourish School, we're returning to the old time, is what you're talking about, Dad. Returning to the old time school, something that Dr. Benjamin Franklin and Jefferson would have been very proud about this program that you have because it's returning to what they started.
Yeah.
It was their way of doing things.
That's what we're trying to do. Well said.
All
Thank
right.
you.
And I did have one last question to answer. And the bingo cards on Saturday, supposedly you can get them at all of the vendors that are on the list. But I know for a fact that Crossroads Christian Bookstore will have the bingo cards. So you can start there. That's a great place to go anyway because there's so many great gifts in there, guys. All right. Make it a great day today. God bless. We love you all. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on. I think we're going to have you both on because this was super fun and I could go on forever.
Oh, we love to talk about education, don't we, Dan?
We do.
And don't forget, guys, WSGI is playing a lot of great Christmas music now, too. Thank you, T. Rawls, for loading that up. All right, guys, make it a great day. You've been listening to 1100 WSGI.